Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. Now today's video is going to be a little different to what we usually share with you guys. This is a deeply personal topic for me and one that I believe is actually really important for us to address. Our journey as an interracial couple has been filled with the most wonderful moments, but of course it hasn't been without its challenges. Intercultural relationships can be incredibly beautiful and enriching, but as I'm sure you know, they do come with their own unique set of difficulties. One of the hardest aspects we've been faced with is dealing with criticism and even racism from those closest to us, including our own families, which is unfortunately coming on my side of the family. It's a topic that's not often talked about and one that we have typically chosen to avoid, but I'm realizing now that this is really important and I think we should shed light on our experiences. I really hope that by sharing our story, we can foster understanding and empathy and hopefully even offer some support to others who might be going through similar experiences. So let's dive into the video. I'm gonna start by sharing a personal experience that's been particularly painful for me. One of the biggest challenges we've faced has come from a close family member of mine. From the very beginning of our relationship, this person has been quite vocal about their disapproval of my relationship with Lee. Their comments have ranged from subtle disapproval to just outright negativity. Since we have gotten engaged and now we're, very excited about planning our wedding and getting pregnant, the criticism from this family member has only intensified. They will often focus on Lee's ethnicity, his culture, and thus expressing their discomfort with our interracial relationship. I do remember particular conversations over the past 2 years with this family member where they've said things like, why do you have to choose someone from a different background? It's like you're abandoning your own culture, your own heritage. Even if you have children, they won't really be yours, or that there's no point because you're not carrying on the bloodline. So those are just some examples, and like I said, they've only kind of intensified as our relationship intensified. So obviously these comments have been deeply hurtful. It feels as though they're not only criticizing my choice of a partner, but also suggesting that I'm losing a part of myself and my heritage just by being with the man that I love. So these conversations kind of leave me feeling a mix of emotions. I'm hurt, confused, even angry. It's been hard for me to process the fact that someone I love and respect and whose approval I really feel like I need could have such a negative view of my relationship that makes me so happy. It just doesn't really all add up to me. So it's obviously been really tough to reconcile their comments with that love and happiness that I feel being with Lee. I've just realized I'm hugging my boba cushion. Maybe I'm feeling a little vulnerable. Don't mind me. Sometimes I've worried that these negative perceptions could seep into our relationship. The last thing I want is that for Lee to associate me with those kind of views and perceptions. I just, when I'm feeling vulnerable, I get scared about thinking that this is what this will be like for the rest of our lives. Like, imagine we get married, we have children, we're happily together, but I still don't get that support and blessing from my family. Like, you can't truly be at peace without that. So I go through these cycles where I think, who cares what they think? If someone is that close-minded or racist, that their opinion just doesn't even matter. But the reality is, when it's your family, you still are desperate for their approval, no matter how how ridiculous their objections are, you still unfortunately want their blessing. And that's the main struggle for me. For everyone reaching that serious stage of your life where you're in love and you want to get married and start a family, you expect that your family is gonna be excited for you and over the moon, like my other family members have been, and like Lee's, you know, they're so excited and always asking me, you know, why aren't you pregnant yet? Come on, get to it. But you know, it's not like that from everyone, unfortunately. And yeah, I just don't know sometimes whether I can live like that forever. You can pretend that it doesn't matter, but you're just lying to yourself and lying to your partner. I constantly have to hide that situation from Lee, even though obviously he knows, or I wouldn't be making this video. I obviously have his blessing for this, but I want our families to be in unison in the way that I am treated like family with Lee. I want him to feel loved and like he's adopted a whole new family. And for most of my family, yeah, he has that feeling. My mom and all, they adore him and keep asking me, you know, how did you even manage to pull a guy like that? And I get that reaction. And you know, that's also why this has just been so bizarre, because I feel like I have found the best possible man in the world and I'm presenting him to you, and all you can ask me is,
why don't his parents speak English? Or, well, why do you only eat Chinese food? Did he force you?
They're like ridiculous negative questions that just don't have any place, but they hurt. They fucking hurt. Yeah, I guess I've also found, like, as I'm in the midst of planning a wedding, which is stressful enough in itself, I'm just struggling more and more to handle this criticism. Like, it's hard. It's really hard to not let these external pressures shake your confidence. I don't want him to have to experience that. Like, how could I expose someone that I love to someone that is not respecting him fully for no justifiable reason? It's not fair. I'm so lucky that Lee does understand where I'm coming from and has assured me time and time again that, you know, he can handle it, and that what he wants is for me to have a strong relationship with my family members, even if we don't always see eye to eye. So I'm so lucky that he's seen it that way and not taken things personally. Sharing this vulnerability is not easy, but I guess I believe it's really important to acknowledge these feelings, because this is something I've been dealing with for the last 2 years, and I've just been kind of trying to pretend that this isn't happening, when it's pretty blatantly obvious that, yeah, there are certain individuals who just don't want us to be together and to be happy together. But I love Lee. You know, one of the most challenging aspects of dealing with this criticism about our relationship has been trying to actually address these comments with this family member. I've made several attempts to open up conversations and educate them about our relationship and Lee's culture. So, as I said, a lot of the criticisms have come towards him being from a different background. So I've done my best to explain any cultural differences that were criticized and the reasons behind certain aspects of our relationship. For example, the language barriers, and why am I the one learning Mandarin instead of someone else learning English? There's pretty justifiable reasons to this, but you know, I've done my best to alleviate any prejudices or stereotypes that may have been affecting this person's acceptance towards Lee. But no matter how hard I've tried, no matter how much time they've spent together, and it's just, you know, it doesn't get better. If anything, it gets worse. Like, even though they can tell me that they have nothing personally against his personality, they're still not happy. I go, what? Like, what can I do? There's nothing else I can do. But you know, I mean, I've explained how kind and welcoming Lee's family have been to me. You know, from the beginning, they treated me like their daughter. Like, how can you not want that for me? If you care about me, you should be so happy for me. But despite my efforts, these conversations haven't always gone smoothly, to say the least. I face a lot of stubbornness, misunderstandings. Sometimes it just feels like no matter how much I explain or how much I try to bridge the gap, there's just this outright refusal to accept our relationship. It's incredibly frustrating and disheartening to encounter such resistance, like especially when you're only trying to foster understanding and acceptance, but you're just met with, yeah. But even in these challenging moments, I just have to remind myself that our love is strong and that we must continue to stand up for what we believe in. It's important to keep trying to stay hopeful that over time, minds and hearts can change. They can, okay? Fingers crossed. I know they can, because I was actually raised in many ways to have these kind of views, and it does take time, but you can learn when you're in the wrong, and it's definitely a lot easier to love people than it is to hate them. Something I need to say is, amidst these external criticisms and the challenges we're facing, one of the most important things we've learned is the value of finding strength and support in each other. Like, I don't know how I would get through this without Lee. He's my rock. When faced with negativity, Lee and I have made a conscious effort to lean on one another and remind ourselves of the value and beauty of our relationship. You know, I know that Lee knows that his background is one of the things I truly love about him. I love his culture, his language. I love everything about him. So as long as we both remember that, you know, we can withstand this. Lee always lets me know that he doesn't see me that way, and he knows that I love him for who he is, and I would never want to expose him to this negativity, but in this kind of situation, I don't have much choice. So I guess these kind of adversities do help us build resilience as a couple. You know, we're learning to navigate these kind of challenges together, and you know, it's strengthening our bond despite the discomfort of these pressures. For instance, we have sought support from friends who understand and uplift us. We have found a community even on YouTube where we feel accepted and supported. You know, we want to put ourselves in situations where people highlight and enjoy our differences rather than persecuting one another for not being the same. I think we're so lucky that we are an interracial relationship. We get to learn two worlds of living from each other, and I think that's something really beautiful. And when we do have a child, imagine the perspectives and life experiences they're gonna be exposed to. It's incredible. But yeah, obviously not everyone sees it that way. If you're facing similar criticism or racism in your relationship, my advice is to just stay true to yourself and your partner. Communication is always key. Just be open with each other about the challenges you're facing, seek understanding from others, but you also have to know when to set boundaries to protect your relationship. In my situation, it's difficult when it's a family member because I cannot just cut them off. But other situations, yeah, you can. It is really important that you're able to find supportive communities where you can share your experiences and receive encouragement. Thank you to all of you guys for being that space for us. When you're surrounded with people who uplift and support you, you'll remember that your love is worth all this adversity. So to wrap up, I want to leave you all with a message of hope. While facing criticism and prejudice is painful, these experiences can also be opportunities for growth, for understanding, hopefully greater empathy for those not showing it. So thank you so much for hearing me out today, everyone. Please feel free to share your own stories in the comments, and we can all work together to build a supportive community for each other. I know this is a difficult topic to talk about, especially if you might be the one who was on the other side of the situation. I can only imagine how that feels. I love you all, and we'll see you next time with a more upbeat video. Bye, guys.